Let us all stand. The book of Luke, chapter number 22. I want to pick up at verse number 31. Luke 22, verse 31. I will conclude today, I think, the series of sermons that I have preached the entire month on It's a Faith Fight. It's a faith fight. Simon, Satan has asked to sift all of you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. But Simon replied, Lord, wrong one. Oh, I'm sorry. I am ready to go with you to prison and even to death. Jesus answered, that sounds good, Peter, but before the rooster crows today, you will deny 3 times that you even know who I am. You may be seated. It's a faith fight. Before I get into my lesson today, I want to acknowledge and with a word of gratitude, thank God for my friend, my brother, who a couple of years ago in February, as I had the Living Legends to come over and preach a revival for me, and I wanted to acknowledge all of those gentlemen who paved the way for young preachers. And I invited one of the most well-respected, profound, and prolific pastors of Dallas to come and preach in the person of David Henderson. And after he preached, he joined our church. And basically said that, Oscar Epps, I want to make you my pastor. I didn't have a clue what that meant. And I asked, what does that mean? And another old pastor that was there say, he joining your church, man. He wants you to be his pastor. You see all them folk out there that you pastor, that's what he wants you to do for him. And Dr. Henderson, who so graciously blessed me with this privilege, is here today. Pastor, if you just wave your hand, thank you so much. He's on his way to retirement of the church that God has had him for several 38 years, 40 years. For 40 years, and after he will have officially retired, we will see him as much as he want to come to church. Amen. And it was such a blessing because I had no earthly idea he was coming today, but even at our first service, another pastor out of Fort Worth, Dr. Michael Bell, did just the exact same thing. He said, Epps, every pastor need a pastor, and I want you to be my pastor. And after leaving his church on a Sunday morning, called me to say, Epps, I won't get to make it to church, but what time do you think you're going to get an invitation? Because I'm going to be there to join church. And he came and joined Community Church, made me his pastor as well. And he preached for me this morning. It's just such an awesome, amazing blessing to see both of you on the same Sunday. It's a faith fight. I woke up to an interesting text this morning from one of our deacons who sits here on the corner, Deacon Kevin Bell, whose son grew up in our church and went through our junior deacon program, went to college, graduated, got a job in San Antonio, and now is working in Arlington as a police officer. And the text says, Pastor, while on duty, KJ was hit by a drunk driver. And we know he had to go to the hospital, and he says he's okay, but I won't be okay until I put my eyes on my son. Instantly, I started thinking about the uncertainties of life. How life is filled with swift transitions. Just because it is now is not an indication that it will be later today. Life changes rapidly. But although life and life's circumstances continue to change, ladies and gentlemen, it would behoove us to maintain our faith. I don't care what circumstance you face, your faith has to remain the same. And I don't care, ladies and gentlemen, how preacherish that sounds. And it sounds preacherish because life possesses the power to turn your world upside down. And you know what else? No one is exempt from going through life's challenges. I tell you, God will prepare you, and oftentimes you don't see the preparation until after the fact. And then, if I can use one of the older words, your mind would regulate and make you remember some things where God was preparing you for what you were getting ready to go through, but you didn't know you were being prepared until you needed the preparation. I had the blessed privilege a few days ago, a couple of weeks ago, of going down to Houston. Reverend Gary Jones and we went down to Houston for the funeral services of Brother and Sister Martin's daughter. And when we got to the funeral service, I thought I was there to comfort them, only to find out I was not in the best place myself. And I went to be a support and ended up getting supported. Come here. Because it took a dad whose daughter lied across the front in a casket to make me see that even though it looked bad, it still worked together for the good. And what the dad said to me blessed me. He says, yes, Pastor, she's gone and it hurts us. He says, but I know how sick my baby was and now my baby's at peace. Can I bless you with what I just said? Regardless of how bad it is, there's still some good in it somewhere. And you just got to trust God to know that however bad it is, it's going to work together for your good. Paul says, and we know that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord. This faith thing is tricky. And I'll tell you, it's not really that the faith thing is tricky, it's that your mind play tricks on you. Because your mind will make you not see God. And let me help you. You can be saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, and some of y'all with the gift of speaking in tongues and fire. I don't have that, but one thing I do know is when life go to lifing, sometimes your eyes will get fixed on your failures and instead of your faith. Sometimes your eyes will get fixed on your problems opposed to your problem solver. And let me bless you, that's a trick from the devil to make you think that God does not care and that God is not real. But can I ask, I know it's not you, but I'm talking to your neighbor. Is there anybody here that still know that regardless of how bad it is, that God is still good? And not only that he's still good, he's still working in your situation and working out your situation and working through your situation. I watch folk in the choir who will sing songs. I'm sold out, my mind is made up, my heart is fixed, my mind's made up. No room, no vacancies, I'm all filled up. It sounds good singing, but the first problem, you act like you forgot the song you sang. Can I tell you, you got to believe in what you sing, and you got to believe in what you preach, and you got to believe in what you hear, that God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Y'all, I tell you, I've not been as tried in my own life that I am right now, and I mean, it's no secret. I look a whole lot better than what I'm going through, and I know I'm not the only one. But there come a time in life where base and mascara can't hide your hurt. There come a time in life where your hat can't hide your hurt. And ladies and gentlemen, it's all right to hurt. And you know what else I found out? It's even okay to cry. But when you cry, you still got to believe that sooner or later, God is going to make a way somehow. I asked myself just again, and this has been my question. This has been my question for me. What do you do when you ain't in control of nothing? Wayne, I don't care who you know, they can't help you. I don't care what you have, it won't bail you out. And let me tell you, when the only person you have is God, don't wait till you get to that point before you make yourself familiar with God. Okay, that was a whole lot better than you responded. So let me help you with what I just said. Don't let God just be there when you need him for your situation. Let him be familiar with you before you get to your situation. One thing I don't ever want in life is to have to introduce myself to God when I need him. When I call him, I want him to already know that's my son. When I call him, I want him to already know that's my child. I want him to be familiar instead of asking for stuff. I want him to hear he's thanked me when he was down. He's blessed me when he had a frown. I want him to know me while I'm up just as much as he knows me when I get. One of the biggest problems with people is that God don't hear from you until you want to use him. And some of y'all got friends like that. Some of you got family members like that. They won't call just to see how you're doing. So every time they show up on the call ID, you know not to answer. Because you already know the only reason they calling is because they want something. And you can't put God in that position that the only time he hears from you is because you want something. Intentions is an invisible word that cannot stay invisible. I intended to pray. Intent and intentions ain't good. You have to fulfill what your intentions are. Because everything else sounds like an excuse. Jesus is at a pivotal place in life where he's not caught by surprise about what's going on and who is going to go on with. Basically, he's sitting down at the table with 12 fellas who have been with him for 3.5 years. And these were not 12 fellas who just decided one day we're going to follow him. These are 12 fellas that he picked to follow him. And I know that some of y'all right away he picked Judas. And he picked him, watch this, not ignorant of what would happen. Okay, the word ignorant, some of y'all take that as a derogatory word because folk been calling you ignorant and you equated ignorant with stupid. And when folk call you ignorant, they wasn't calling you illiterate or dumb. It just means you don't know. And in other words, when Jesus picked him, Jesus was all man picking a man, but he was still all God, that he saw who he was picking before he picked him. In other words, he knew when he picked him what he was and what he would do, and he picked him anyhow. Can I tell you what I just said? Every now and then, you need to pick some people that's going to keep you praying. Everybody want to pick comfort, but let me tell you, sometimes you need to pick some people that you know ain't on your side, because they help you to keep trusting him rather than trusting them. He picks them. He's sitting down at the table with all 12 of them. And the first thing he notices is, guys, this is a strange setting for me. Because one of y'all who's dipping your hand with me is going to be the same person to betray me. And I'm going to tell you, when you ain't hit by the stick, you don't have to comment on the hitting. Okay. That was so educated, it slipped over 3 of y'all's head. In other words, it's what is said, ain't you, don't you respond to it. And the only reason a lot of people respond to mess that has nothing to do with them is because they know they're messy and it could be them. So here it is. He's sitting and he tells them, guys, listen, y'all might get caught off guard, but you can't catch me off guard, because even though I'm all man, you got to remember, in my deity, I'm still all God. And then from there, he's sharing the guys, I'm fixing to leave. And then this will let me know that black people were at the table. Because when he was telling them, as the leader, I'm leaving, then the conversation, well, if he gone, I'm gonna be in charge. Isn't that strange that they cannot even be empathetic with him knowing he's on his way out, because they're so worried about trying to become him? Can I say it first? They smile in your face all the time. They want to take your place. And somebody from the 70s ought to tell me that they call them Jesus then converses with them about being great. Being great. And what he shares with them is, when you want to be great, don't be great. If you want to be great, be a servant. He asked the question, tell me who's greater, the one who serves or the one that's being served? And I can hear him now, got to be the one that's sitting down waiting. And you say, see, that's what's wrong with you now. You don't understand greatness. Jesus says the greatest got to be a servant. And then out of all the 12, he says, Peter, let's take a walk. This was strange to me. Bentley, why did he just take a walk with Peter when all 12 of them were involved in the situation? Britt, verse 31, if you will, because I know folk think I make all this stuff up. I promise you I'm not making this up. Simon, Come here. Satan has asked me, y'all listen to this. Satan is talking to the Lord. Can I tell you why? Because he's asking the Lord for permission. Because he understands his limitations. Y'all listen. Satan goes to the Lord and asks for permission because he knows what he can't do unless God say he can do it. Else, what did you just say? Whatever hell you're dealing with, he had to get permission before he brought the hell in your life. And if he brings the hell, the Lord had to say hell yes. But you got to know, when the Lord says yes, he will never say yes to what he knows you have not been introduced to. Okay, let me help y'all. I played football. And at halftime, we would go in and try to discuss what happened. And the coach would just say, what in the mess is going on? But he wouldn't say mess. What would he say, Egypt? Mess. Okay. Try to get Egypt sanctified. Egypt would just say, I'll tell them what. No, you chill. I mean, they come in there. And you know why? Because they'll tell you, we done went over all of this. We done went over it, and you still falling short in it. Y'all listen to me, because it's not that you don't know the right answer, you just don't do the right thing. You know what to do. You know to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. You know to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things is going to be added to you. You know what to do, but why do you get amnesia at the most inopportune times? I had a teacher in high school, and there was a given every Thursday. Good morning. Put up everything but one sheet of paper and a pencil. And then she would say something so interesting. Follow my instructions. She give you the simplest math problems you could ever come up with. I mean, literally, the problems would be like 5 minus 4. 1. 2 times 3. 6. Somebody say 1. No. Wait till I get to the history, then you answer those. Don't answer no more math problems, okay? And she said, listen, don't do nothing till you read everything. And I can't tell you how many times I heard the instructions and flunked the test. Because the very last thing said, do nothing on this paper but write your name. I'm up here to answer all the questions because I just thought I had it all together. But every now and then you don't know what you think you know. You got to stay with the instructions. What are the instructions? The Bible gives you your instructions, and the Bible still says to trust in God. The Bible still says don't lean to your own understanding. He pulls Peter to the side. But the conversation is about all of the disciples. But his concern at this point was not about all the disciples. His concern was about Peter. Peter, the devil came to me, asked me if he can sift. Y'all understand sifting. Sifting is a cooker's term where you put flour in a granulator. Some of y'all that cook don't even know what the stuff is called. You just give me that thing that you turn. No, it's a sifter. And its design is to bring particles to its finest place. Its design is to break down absolutely every imperfect particle and bring it to the best, finest place. And it's a sifting process. And he says, let me tell you, he don't want to just break you in half. He want to sift you up. Can I ask anybody ever been sifted and you survived your sifting because you knew how to keep trusting? You survived your sifting because you just kept talking to God. You survived your sifting because you've seen God do it before and you trusted him to do it again. I have survived my sifting because I know what to do when I'm being sifted. I know to not depend on my ability but trust in God. I know how to go down on my knees and have a little talk with Jesus. I know that after a while my wicked friends cannot overcome me, because the Bible says to me, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, or sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. He'll be like a tree that's planted by the rivers of water. Is there anybody here that's like a tree? You ain't a tree, but when the wind comes to get you, you've been rooted in Jesus, and you know what trusting in him will do. And because you've seen him do it before, you're trusting him to do it again. The devil, Satan, has asked me if he can have all of y'all. And I do have a concern about the rest of them. But Peter, you my boy. I called you first. You've watched me. And several times when I asked questions, you didn't even let nobody else answer. You just yelled out the right answer. Lord, what you talking about? Well, you remember, Peter, when I was asking all of y'all, who do men say that I am? And you didn't let nobody else answer. You said, thou art the Christ. You are the Son of the living God. And Peter, I told you then, flesh and blood didn't tell you that, boy. Well, Lord, that was only one time. No, Peter, it wasn't just one time. You remember when those folks started leaving me, and I asked you, well, y'all gonna leave me too? You didn't even let nobody else answer. You said, Lord, if we leave you, where will we go? Everything that we need, you got it in your hand. So Peter, I need to make sure that you remember who I am. And ladies and gentlemen, I promise you, I don't care how saved you are, sometimes it's hard to remember when you have to remember. But there ought to be a time in life when you shouldn't have to depend on memory. You ought to depend on experience. I ran across a lady the other day who her family said has Alzheimer's. And they said she has gotten down to the point where she don't even remember us. But I walked in the hospital room, Wayne, and I heard her singing, Father, I stretch. Because she was not dependent on memory. She had some experience. And every now and then you ought to have enough experience with God not to have to remember God, but just have the experience with God to know who he is, even when you forget who everybody else is. The devil asks if he can have y'all to sift y'all like wheat. Peter, listen, I prayed for you. And I hear your prayer. Lord, give me strength. Lord, make me strong. Lord, help me to endure. And I hear some of y'all who ain't ready for nothing. Lord, increase my territory. Ain't doing nothing with the territory you got. But you're telling the Lord to increase what you got. He said, I didn't pray none of that for you, Peter. The only thing I prayed is that when you get in the mix of your mess, that you remember me. I think that's around verse 33 or 34. Put both of them up there. But Peter replied, Lord, I'm ready to go with you to prison and to death. Y'all listen. This is that word intent. This is that word intent that I was telling you about. It's invisible. And the Lord don't need to hear what you're saying. He needs to see what you're about. Because I done heard a whole lot of good intents. But I've seen a whole lot of bad deeds. Jesus says, listen, I'm hearing what you're saying, but I've also foreseen what you're going to do. He didn't say you could or might. He says with a definite, Peter, listen to me. You will deny not one time, not two times. He said you're going to deny 3 times that you even know. And I can hear Peter right now not saying it out loud, but say, listen, maybe you think I'm Hedley Miller. That's Hedley Miller, y'all. Maybe you think I'm Sherwin Ramey, or maybe you think I'm Dietrich Green or Tawana Lawrence. Maybe you feel like I'm Gary Jones or one of these other preachers. But this your boy Peter. And the Lord still says 3 times, you ain't gonna even let folk know that you know who I am. Y'all listen to me. I've heard, and I don't believe the hype. They say everybody has a selling price. People who have a selling price, to me, are people who are more concerned about temporal things than permanent dwelling. Peter says, Lord, you don't have to worry about me. I know you. I know who you are. And then check this out. I know whose I am. Jesus says, sounds good. Reality is, you're going to deny 3 times that you know me. I know I won't get hands raised on this, So instead of asking you to raise your hand, I'm going to make it a rhetorical question. A rhetorical question is a question that you don't need to answer, but one you just need to think about internally. How many times have you denied him? Oh, I let everybody, I even wear my necklace, WWJD. I don't mind carrying my Bible. That's the cute stuff. But let's talk about your actions. Oh, you going there? I'm not. It's your actions that speak volumes to the Lord, because he's listening with his eyes. Oh, I ain't denied him. Anytime you can't make time for him, you've denied him. Anytime you're not obedient to him, you've denied him. Anytime it's your way first, you've denied him. Oh, I didn't know. Yeah, you knew it. You know, the rubber meets the road in life. And when Peter considered losing his life, he lost himself. Hold on, Epps, you're going crazy now. Make it make sense. Put verse 34 back up there. Verse 34, and I'm about through. Jesus answered, I tell you, Peter. Now remember, he has not been Peter until this point. He's been Simon. It's the same person. And if I ever hear this again, you're going to get out of this church. When you asked to see Dinky, whatever your nickname is, rather than who you are today. You know, people don't want to know Bobo. They don't want to know John. You know, no, let me say John. Leave John alone. You know, let me say Mark. Leave Bobo alone. You know, trust me. There's a difference when people meet the old you versus the current you. And some of y'all even remember, because you'll tell yourself, boy, I must be done come a long way, because back in, I know a time when. And Jesus is now not talking to Simon, the grown man. He's talking to Peter, the boy. Before Peter, the rooster crows today, you will deny that you even know me 3 different times. Verse 35. Look at what happens. The next verse. Then Jesus asked them, when I sent you without purse, bag, sandals, did you lack anything? In other words, Jesus is trying to remind them, although hell is going to come against you, remember who I have been to you. And y'all, instead of going on these tantrums, forgetting and leaving out your faith, just come up with a better memory. Think about the days he brought you through. Think about the ways he's already made. And that ought to help you to hold on just a little while longer. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's hard. It's hard for all of us. Can I bless you? Even though you don't have going on what I have going on, we all got something going on. And yours can't be minimized because mine is bigger. We all still got something going on. And you got to remember the same God who has made ways before, answered prayers before, opened doors before. He's still God, still sitting on the throne, and he'll still do it again. Go back to verse 33 and I'm through. But he replied, Lord, I'm ready to go with you to prison and to death. When he says this, his heart is sincere. His mind is made up, but his circumstances changed. When circumstances change, your faith cannot change. He's not a God just to bring you good days. Sometimes the days ain't going to be so good. There are going to come days where you have to put into practice what you tell everybody else that the Lord is and will do. I honestly mean this, that I can appreciate God, not for the hell that I'm going through, but for the peace that he gives. And let me tell you, the peace does not change the hell, but it helps me deal with the hell. And by the way, the Lord is looking for some examples, even from the pulpit, that can show people that even though life is not favorable, you got to stay the course. You'll be amazed at some of the questions I've been asked. Why are you still preaching? Because he called me to preach. Why are you still doing this? Because I've been called to do it. And I can't abandon my call to God. Check this out. This is going to be deep. Because of my problems allowed by God. The waters ain't gonna always be smooth. But one thing about it, when the waters get rough, stay on the same boat. Nobody to my left caught that. And since in the smooth waters, I'm on the ship of Zion. In the rough waters, I don't need to jump on the love boat. I got to stay with who has been there, who is proven, who has made ways, who has kept me, who has never left me. And it's crazy as it might look to you, I got one thing, period. Granted, I got my mama, but any day she cannot be here. I got my wife, but she's been in California for 6 weeks now. 7 or 8, as a matter of fact. But the one thing that I have that's continual, continuous, systematic, it's my faith in God. And if I lose everything else, I want to hold on to what I believe. And y'all, what I believe, so y'all will know, you don't have to guess, feel, think, or believe. I want to tell you what I believe. I believe that as long as the Lord is in charge, weeping may endure for a night, but I believe that joy will come in the morning. I believe that I don't have to fret myself because of evildoers. Neither do I have to be envious of the workers of iniquity. Because after a while, if I don't fight, he will. After a while, they will soon be cut down. And God is my captain and he is fighting. As long as I'm trusting, he's fighting. And if I don't do nothing else, I got to trust even when I can't trace him. It's a faith fight. God bless you.